Okay, what if I told you that the biggest predictor of your success, your happiness, wasn't your job or where you live, but actually the thoughts you have in secret? I know, it sounds kind of wild, right? But we're about to dive into this tiny 100-year-old book that holds a massive, massive idea that our thoughts literally create our reality. So let's get into it. This is our explainer on James Allen's As a Man Thinketh.
So James Allen, he wastes absolutely no time. I mean, he opens the book with this poem that basically lays out his entire philosophy on the very first page. The big idea? Well, it's that your mind is the master power, and thought, that's the tool you use. And whether you build a life of joy or a life of misery, it all starts with those secret thoughts. And you got to pay close attention to that last line. Environment is but his looking glass. It's a mirror, just reflecting what's already going on inside your head. Powerful stuff. So when Allen says, as a man thinketh, so is he, you have to understand he means it literally. This isn't some fluffy, wishful thinking kind of thing. No. The idea here is that your character, who you are, it isn't set in stone from birth. It is the complete sum of all your thoughts. Think about it. Every single thing you do, big or small, it had to start as a thought first.
Okay, so that's a pretty big concept, right? How do we even begin to wrap our heads around it and make it practical? Well, Allen gives us this one single, powerful metaphor that just unlocks the whole thing. And it's this: your mind is a garden. And you really have to notice the sense of inevitability in this idea. A garden always produces something. There's just no such thing as an empty, neutral plot of land. If you don't intentionally plant flowers and take care of them, what happens? Weeds, they just take over. Allen says our minds work the exact same way. If we aren't actively, consciously cultivating good thoughts, you can bet the negative ones will just grow all by themselves. All right, so let's talk about that. What actually happens when we let that mental garden run wild? What kind of harvest do you get from a mind you've just neglected? I mean, the connection here is just crystal clear. It's a straight line. You let the weeds of fear and doubt and laziness take root in your mind, and the harvest you're going to get is suffering and failure. But here's the key thing to get. This isn't some kind of cosmic punishment. Nope, it's just the natural result of the seeds you've planted. It's like you can't plant thistles and expect to get figs, right? It's just cause and effect. And check out how this whole process works. It's not like it happens overnight. First, a repeated thought, like fear or doubt, it starts to crystallize into a habit. So you start acting hesitant. Then that habit solidifies into your actual life circumstances. So a mind that's constantly thinking thoughts of fear doesn't just feel bad. It ends up building real-world habits that lead directly to a life of failure and dependence. It's a chain reaction. Now this right here, this is a radical idea. Because let's be honest, most of us blame our circumstances for our problems, right? I can't do X because of Y. But Allen just flips that completely on its head. He says your circumstances don't make you, they reveal you. They're just that looking glass again, showing you exactly what kind of mental seeds you've been planting all this time. Okay, enough about the weeds. That's the problem. So what's the solution? How do we actually become an intentional gardener and start building a better reality for ourselves? And here's the beautiful part. The opposite is just as true. The law works both ways. You intentionally plant the flowers, thoughts of courage, of purpose, of love, and your harvest will be peace, success, and prosperity. This mental law is totally impartial. According to Allen, a good thought can never produce a bad result, just like a bad thought can never produce a good one. It's that simple. And look, the building process works exactly the same way, just in the other direction. You consistently choose thoughts of courage and self-reliance. Those thoughts crystallize into confident habits, and those habits then solidify into a life of success and freedom. It's the same simple formula. Thought creates the habit, and the habit creates your circumstances. Period. So, what's the game plan? How do we actually do this? Well, Allen gives us a pretty clear 5-step guide. First, you have to watch, control, and alter your thoughts. Become an observer. Second, you have to connect the dots. Link the thought cause to the life effect. Third, and this one is absolutely crucial, you need to come up with a real purpose. Fourth, focus your thoughts on that purpose like a laser beam. And finally, fifth, you have to consciously build yourself up with strong, positive thoughts. And let's just pause on that idea of purpose for a second, because it is everything. Without a purpose, our thoughts just drift. Allen actually calls a drifting mind a vice, not just a weakness. It's like a boat without a rudder, right? It's just going to get tossed around by the waves.
But a mind with a clear purpose, that mind can steer itself right through any storm and get exactly where it wants to go. So, what happens when we do this? When we consistently tend our mental garden and link all our thoughts to a powerful purpose? What's the ultimate harvest we can expect? Well, this is where the magic happens. This is where the vision starts to become reality. Now, we usually think of dreamers as people with their heads in the clouds, right? But here, the idea of dreaming gets elevated to something world-changing. Alan argues that every single great human achievement, we're talking art, science, all of human progress, it all started as a vision inside a single person's mind. He even claims that without these dreamers, humanity would just wither and die.
And just think about that for a second. A cherished vision isn't some idle fantasy. It's a blueprint for reality. Columbus had this vision of another world, and then he went out and discovered it. Copernicus fostered this vision of a much bigger universe, and then he revealed it to everyone. Buddha saw a vision of a spiritual world, and then he entered it. In every single case, the vision comes first, and the physical reality follows.
So what does that mean for you right now? It means that your personal vision, that ideal you hold in your heart, it's not just a daydream. According to this way of thinking, it's a promise. It's literally a prophecy of the person you are on your way to becoming. So, you see, the ultimate goal here isn't just about having a few nice flowers in your mental garden. It's about understanding the very laws of gardening. It's about becoming the master of your own mind.
Think about it. A master gardener knows the laws of the soil, right? They know what to plant, when to water, what to pull out. In the exact same way, the master of a mind knows the laws of thought. You stop being a victim of circumstance, just getting pushed around by life, and you become the conscious director. You start shaping your own character, your own circumstances, and your own destiny.
You know, in the end, maybe it's as simple and as powerful as this. The force of your will, when it's directed by your thoughts, is the ultimate creative power. It's the power that can literally carve a path through solid rock to get you to any goal you set.
So this whole book really leaves us with one final empowering responsibility. The vision you're glorifying in your mind, that's the blueprint. The ideal you enthrone in your heart, that's the raw material. With all that in mind, the only question left is, what will you choose to build?